Why is shame such a powerful emotion? How does it affect us mentally, physically, emotionally? I'm Nadia Davis. I'm a mom, author, attorney, and Kundalini yoga teacher who has experienced public shaming that brought me to my knees. On this podcast, I'm going to tell you how I'm living the work taking shame out of the shadows. I'll give you real-life advice and skills to take away with you throughout your day. You'll hear from powerful guests who have overcome trauma and emerged stronger than ever. You too can ban the shame within and around you. Join me. You are not alone. Welcome, everybody. It's Nadia and Priya, and welcome to the Home is Within You podcast. Here we empower recovery by, through the literal definition, drag shame out of the shadows and transform it into healing power. That's the nice catch-all phrase. For me, what that means is a dozen years of recovery, of finally, eventually learning that I had buried myself unknowingly in a lot of baby beliefs, a lot of false beliefs that separated me from my innocence, from my soul. And through years of segments of physical sobriety, I began hearing the stories of others. I began hearing the words of a therapist. I began hearing the words of spiritual advisors, and slowly but surely lifted more and more layers, finally recognizing that a feeling of defectiveness was the basis of all thoughts that were causing the most suffering. And suffering to me is feeling separate from a space of love in my heart and love from others. And I'm very grateful to have a sense of a home within me today that I can nurture. And so here I'm hoping that my personal shares, as well as the shares of guests, can help others on their spiritual journey. If you are in trauma or addiction recovery, or if you're merely on a path for deeper meaning in your life. Today, I have one of my favorite people on this entire planet and in the whole universe, somebody near and dear to me on my recovery journey, Priya Jain. She is the founder of a lot of things. She is the founder of Seventh Chakra Institute of Spiritual Sciences that I met when it was called Seventh Chakra Yoga. And I've given the introduction, the formal introduction of her before, the personal introduction of her before. But I think that in this new year, it's important to redo it a little bit, if you'll allow me to. I met Priya 9 years ago through a treatment center when Seventh Chakra had a studio. And as soon as I took one of her classes, it was really one of the first times that I felt safe in my body and the real journey began. Priya has created many formal Kundalini yoga teacher trainings, has many certifications, and also has created many different trainings on various aspects of the mind, of the spiritual journey, and now has an upcoming one um, that she has been working very hard on and that I'm super excited about. And anyone that is blessed to have found Seventh Chakra Yoga, now a global studio online, it became so, thankfully, after COVID hit and the studio didn't shut down, transitioned into this wonderful online global studio space, as well as a physical, beautiful grounds out in Temecula. Uh, this upcoming training, it's so cool. It's the chakras and psychology. And I am happily going to say during this podcast episode, you're going to get the Chakra System 101 in a nutshell, as well as how the chakras relate to psychology, and maybe a glimpse into another episode with Priya that could be the chakra system and shame. And so Priya is currently experiencing a power outage, and I guess it's been an ongoing experience for them out there since the winds. I do want to note how blessed I feel, and I'm sure Priya feels, that we're safe with all the fires in Southern California. There is another episode we recorded that talks about kind of the survivors guilt, and some issues related to that will be released also. And I just want to note that as we're recording this, as I'm recording this, all of you are in our prayers, and by all means, we're thinking of all of you, and realize how blessed we are. Priya, how are you doing in this power outage as you glow in with your generator's ability now? And thank you for making it work tonight. So,
No, we are doing great. It's kind of nostalgic. When I was growing up in India, we used to have power outages all the time. Of course, they were um, unannounced, so it would just happen randomly. And we used to, as kids, we used to make like amazing adventures out of those power outages, right? Our neighbors would get together, we would go for walks, the kids would just play, like, yay, no homework. We can just play. There would be candles everywhere. So it's kind of reminding me a little bit of that. But
mhm,
like we talked about in the earlier episode, is the beauty of human psyche and human beings are that we are extremely resilient, and we tend to forget that when we are thrown out of our comfort zone. But if we can reconnect with that understanding, we are resilient. We can find ways through. And in this day and age of technology, we have a generator that's powering our internet, which is the
mhm.
main thing that we need, and a few lights, and we have candles all over. So it's kind of beautiful, romantic, and I can have a conversation with you. So
Mhm.
I can't complain at all. And Mother Nature does what Mother Nature does. We have no control over her.
Right. Sometimes I wish it would happen everywhere, so people can, you know, interact more one on one, could start growing locally in their backyard, or, I don't know. Sometimes I just feel that so much is taken for granted here in this country,
Yes.
and everywhere. And so yes, thank you for always being for reminding us of all of that, in the different way of reminding me of our true nature. And I don't know, there's just somewhere super special in my heart that you hold, and um, you enter my thoughts a lot.
Mm,
And I know I send my love to you several times during the week. I don't know if you feel it, but um,
I do.
I love you, and I'm excited to hear about your recent writings and this upcoming new training. I guess I want to
Mm.
start with, um, was this another birthing like all your other trainings? Was it one of those kind of aha moments where you said, you know what? I am having so many download moments. Let me start writing about this, and let me offer this to people. How did this come about to be? one of the many downloads that I'm sure you get put into this one I'm doing?
Well, I would say the downloads have been coming for a while. When I first opened Seven Chakra Yoga, I didn't know that I would be doing something way beyond just teaching Kundalini yoga and meditation. Somehow along the way, people started to ask me for spiritual advice, and that turned into therapy, that turned into coaching, that turned into just using the yogic tools, the yogic psychology tools, meditation tools, yogic tools, nutrition tools, uh, to actually help people where Western psychology was failing them. And I
Mm.
didn't realize the power of that until I started to get the feedback where people would say, I have been in therapy for 20 years. And it's amazing what this has been able to do for me. And I started to wonder why. Because for me, this was common sense. This comes naturally.
Right.
Um, so I would think, why would what is missing in Western therapy model? And I over time realized that it is a bit of a limited model as compared to the ancient yogic psychology. So the Western view of human psyche is either cognitive or it is based in intellectual. Like there's something cognitively or intellectually off with somebody in the neurochemistry of a person.
Hmm.
But yogic psychology, all of yoga, all of it, no matter which modality, with hatha, vinyasa, kundalini, all of it was created as actually as a psychological tool that involved the human body, because the human body is actually part of the psyche. That's how
Hmm.
the yogis perceived it. And so we have five different layers of our being, and each one is affecting the other constantly. Like the physical body is just the most tangible layer of us, right?
Hmm.
Starting from the very core, which is our soul, then there's an ego, and then there is the intellect, which is the mind, we call it, right? There's the energy body, and then we have the physical body. So these five layers are constantly interacting and affecting each other. And I understood that the Western psychology doesn't quite view a human being like that. So we can address symptoms, and in some cases, to really good results, actually offer medicine, um, the pharmaceuticals, which some cases is very important. But in other cases, it's not. It's not useful, it's not serviceful. And so when people would come to me, I would find just offering them a viewpoint and understanding which part of their layer needed help could
Hmm.
affect the other layers. And so the symptoms would naturally disappear.
Mm.
So, what was coming to me for the last couple of years, and I was just too busy dealing with the studios and I didn't have the time, that I wanted to teach other people how to use this yogic and spiritual psychology. And when I sat down with what that would look like, it came up with five different modules, right? So each dimension of our being is a module. So the chakra psychology is the energy body,
Okay.
and our prana, our energy system, is divided up into these seven layers. There's actually 112 chakras within us, but primarily these seven layers within us where our prana, our energy, collects, has a unique frequency. Each chakra has a unique frequency, and we don't even know how much of what we think and do, and our belief systems, our dreams, our desires, our habitual patterns, how much of those are affected by what frequencies of our chakras are at play. So it's like bringing the invisible partner into visibility for yoga teachers, for therapists, for Reiki teachers. So we have a vocabulary and a
Mm-hmm.
very clear way of seeing someone else. And it's not
Mm-hmm.
just for people who want to be a therapist. one of the biggest things that I'm excited about introducing in this training is that you become your first case study, your own life.
Oh,
So
that's great.
any place through as we move through the chakras, you will start to recognize where the imbalances are and how to balance them, what caused those imbalances in the first place. So
I
talking about
remember
shame
in the level 1 training, we did a basic overview, and then we shared in a small group or something or the other, and it was fascinating. Um, and most people hear about the chakra system and the formal marketing thing, and it's
with the crystals and the
yeah,
colors.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, and so I love how you're describing it, but 112
Yes.
chakras, does that relate to, like, the facets of the mind, and or is that a whole 'nother, like, where
So our
facets of the mind are a whole
physiology
'nother
and our
thing?
yeah,
Yes.
our physiology and psychology are very deeply interwoven, right? So a chakra is created at the nexus point where two or more energy channels meet. It creates an electromagnetic field, and that
Okay.
electromagnetic field then affects the surrounding areas.
Okay.
And within our body, and each part of the body is connected to a part of the psyche.
Okay. Oh, I'm so excited about this training.
It is
But
fascinating.
okay. Okay, now remember, folks, this is a nutshell. So, um, no spoilers. But okay, so the 7 main ones, the ones that we see out in the tourist stores and things of that sort, or that are, the substance of other in-depth yoga classes and yoga studios. People really only think that there are 7. Some people also count another one, a crown, but it's
Mhm.
so just describe those in basic terms for somebody that is driving and hasn't even doesn't even know them.
Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate that the idea of chakras has been so in our new age understanding is kind of so diminished to the idea of colors and crystals. And so somebody
Mm.
says, I need to balance my chakra. They just say, I can buy a crystal or I can wear a certain color and that'll heal it or that'll balance it. And that is such a gimmick. It's a marketing gimmick to sell
Mm.
products. And I hope people don't fall for that. Very often, even when we had the studio, I used to get calls very often about people asking me, can you balance my chakras for me? And I had to be very honest with them and like, yes, I can, but here's the problem. The moment you walk out the door, and based on your belief systems or the very next thought that you have, the very next stressor that you feel in your body, your chakra is going to go right back to where they were. So, if you want to balance your chakras, I can help you, but you would have to also do the work to change some deeper patterns that are holding that frequency of your chakras in place.
And what do they say?
They're usually disappointed because they just want a quick fix and somebody else do the work for me. So, one of the main reasons I want to talk about it so much is to actually clear that myth for people that yes, you will have temporary relief from, like, if you're in great suffering, you're in agony, mental turmoil, you will have a momentary relief from it, but nobody can really balance your chakras in a sustainable way except you. And that requires inner work. That requires looking at where the blockages are, what's causing the imbalance, why is my energy flowing the way it's flowing, what can I do to move that energy. So it's a fascinating journey, and I'm passionate about it because that's how I healed myself. I worked with myself through many years of either abuse or trauma, and I I once I understood this map, it was so easy to do.
So you diagnosed yourself,
Yes.
and that was really the birth spot of all of this, is when
Yes.
you read about the chakra system and you
Mhm.
self-diagnosed, you integrated it into your own life, and then through helping serving others.
Yes. I thought everybody who learns about chakras can do that, but I'm reminded over and over again that's not the case.
Okay. Okay. Let's go through them.
So, the seven primary chakras, and the reason we focus more on the seven than the other um, counterparts of the 112 is because these seven reside along the spine. And spine is the channel through which energy flows throughout our system, right? So, in the Western anatomy, it's a central nervous system. It distributes messages to all the organs, to different parts of the brain, to different parts of the body. Yogically, we understand that it is actually the chakras that are working behind the scenes of the central nervous system. So
Okay.
those seven reside along the spine. So from the very top, the crown, and to the very base, which is the root chakra. So it is amazing bridge between our spiritual, etheric self to our manifested physical life. Everything is interconnected.
It makes perfect sense that there's 112. I'm surprised there's not a million and 12.
Well, I'm pretty sure there's more because different yogic modalities name different number of chakras based on how they viewed the energy centers or electromagnetic fields forming around, like I said, the nexus of two energy channels meeting each other.
Okay. And where is each located? And if you were giving the basic centers, um, or overview of the chakras and their relationship with psychology in each center, could you give that 101?
It would be quite detailed
Okay.
based on where they are, but the psychology part is what gets complex.
Okay.
How they relate, how they do affect us in our everyday lives. We These are, like I said, the invisible architects behind all our thoughts. So the base chakra, the root chakra, is at our perineum. That's where it's the energy center is. And the root chakra is literally linked to our existence, our physical existence on earth. And because it's so linked to our survival on this planet, it is also directly connected to the idea of death. And all fear arises out of the root chakra due to that idea of death. So, survival, the opposite of survival is death. So, anywhere we feel that I can't survive, whether it's actually a literal engagement with survival needs, or it is a perceived idea of somebody not liking me, that my ego then translates as death. I am going to die in this person's view because I'm a nobody.
Mhm.
The
This is where
idea of
shame.
embarrassment, the idea of failure, the idea of shame, the idea of,
Mhm.
so there's all these kind of tether into the root chakra. So think of the root chakra as the very basic roots that without which a human being feels completely untethered on this planet. I'm sure a lot of your listeners will relate to this because, in my experience, a lot of people I work with who deal with alcoholism and drug abuse usually find that they're untethered on this planet.
Mhm.
They either have not been given the nurturing that's required in those early developmental years that relates to the person that you belong. And
That
that
healthy
itself can
attachment.
be a root, a missing root that somebody looks for their entire lives. They look for it in what they do, they look for it in their relationships, they look for it in validation, in all of their choices. Behind all of their choices is this deep, deep subconscious need to, to need to belong and feel secure in that belonging. And that's how important that is.
Yes. Um, this is where the overlap with trauma awareness came in uh, for me with the trauma wounds and unhealthy attachments that were from not having healthy attachment, learning secure attachment as a child, um, where caretakers are nurturing, reliable, loving. A child has a healthy zone of tolerance. When that's not there, a person learns um, to overreact. And I say that lovingly, but it's a flight, flight, freeze, fawn. We're all familiar with the fight, flight, freeze. There's also fawn. Um, so I'm trying to link some listeners that may or may not be in trauma therapy that may hear this. Um, there's also a series on healthy attachment, but this is all interrelated to, as Priya is describing, the root chakra and this very, very, very critical part of anybody's recovery journey is understanding the root, strengthening, finding balance in it, and um, also understanding if it is underactive or overactive, what the symptoms are of that and what we can do about it.
Mhm.
I'm glad that you pointed out that often that's what you see. Um,
Yeah,
um,
it's the core of our being.
mm,
So the root chakra is showing up from the moment we're born. Like the instinct, it's the animal instinct to survive. It's inbuilt in all of us. And when we have to fight for survival in different ways, like I say, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, financially, physically, um, that takes up most of our conscious waking hours, don't they? Just the
mm,
task of survival constantly. So the yogis would say that the root chakra takes up 80% of your existence, but the
mm.
actual element, which is the earth element, is the smallest amount. It's the ashes that are left when somebody's cremated, right? What's left behind,
Wow.
that's the earth element within you. That's it. So the smallest amount of element takes up the largest amount of our conscious energy and awareness in our life, in our existence.
That's where building the lightness, the non-attachment to our own body and thoughts is so important. Right?
Well, it's quite the opposite, actually. It's about building a healthy attachment to the body's needs. Body is an extremely intelligent vehicle. It is the disassociation from the body, making the body
Mm,
bad, making the body's needs and its desires bad, creating shame around it. That disassociates us from our root chakra,
mm,
amongst many other reasons. So it is about learning why am I here in this body, if you want to look at it spiritually. Just checking in with that question, that there must be a reason that I have a physical form,
Mm-hmm.
and learning to honor that. That itself begins to balance the root chakra, just simply honoring that. And then, whatever challenges or traumas or lessons there are within this physical vessel of ours, that's our journey, that's our task. And so we use the other chakras above the root chakra to try to manifest them or understand them or receive the lessons through them. But without the grounding, without the association to the root chakra, existence on this planet is excruciating.
It's interesting that you said the relationship um, with it. What I meant by not getting attached is realizing, our true nature is a soul. Um,
Right.
but your point about creating a relationship with our body, with the root, with the um literal, I like to say, is super important. And I needed to do that with my pain. Sally and I have talked a lot about that. Sally Tahib, another adorer of Priya and seventh chakra yoga, was in the Kundalini yoga training one with me. God, I don't even know how many years ago that was. Um, but anyways, the relationship that we have with pain, it's also super important to balance the root,
You've
and have
experienced
that.
that, you
Mhm.
know, very directly with the pain that you experience in your body, to have a
Physical pain.
relationship with that. And the body, the ego despises pain, it seeks comfort. And so when you can get rid of pain, that's when you're face to face with your root chakra all the time,
Mhm.
breathing into that pain, grounding that pain into the earth, and
Yes.
letting that pain become your roots.
Mm,
That's
your
an
teacher.
alchemy which seems magical and almost impossible, but it is very, very real.
I love the relationship. I mean, I shouldn't say I love my pain, but I love and respect and, dare I say, appreciate my relationship. I do appreciate my relationship with pain today, but the root imbalance is something that is a daily takes daily vigilance for me, and I'm sure you've observed that journey, of that many have. It's I feel like we could talk for this whole episode just about the root chakra and psychology. And so I think I'm just going to stay on it, and we're going to continue the discussion on the others. But what I will ask you is, what is the strongest, or what is the other chakra that the root has the strongest relationship with or affects? And is it all? Um,
Well, like I said, if you were to think of a tree,
mm,
and your root chakra is like the literally roots of your being, and they're mostly underground, so you can't see them. They're subconscious. They're literally planted in your subconscious. So every other chakra, which means every other function or task that you have in this life or you perform in this life, is going to get affected by the strengths of your rooting, right? If your roots aren't strong, your stem is not going to be strong. And that stem is not going to grow into a strong trunk. And the strong trunk cannot support strong branches. The strong branches, that means, can deliver the nutrition that is needed to flower. And the flowers cannot turn into fruits, right? So, simply thinking of that analogy, you understand how significant the root chakra is in our system. but it is
So
balanced.
interesting that it's, the perineum, because how often do people even think about their perineum?
Right.
You know, it's terrible. I mean, you know, I was just going to say, I mean, I do, but I mean, I'm not the, I've, the word has been stated, and it's been whatever. It's so funny I'm saying this, explored, but how often do people even think about the perineum, the part between the sex organs and the anus? And even saying that, it's like, um it should be part of the regular vocabulary. It should be part of, you know, but that is the root chakra.
Yeah, and we don't want to talk about it. We think
Mhm.
disgustingly towards anything that's in the root chakra, right? Elimination, for example, the root chakra controls your elimination. And who wants to talk about elimination, right? It's not considered sophisticated. But if you can eliminate, you would die,
Right.
right?
Elimination
Such
is
a
key
simple
to
function
disease
that we take for
resistance.
granted.
Right.
And so that goes at every level, your emotional elimination, your relational elimination, psychological elimination, and spiritual elimination. So these chakras don't just play in the physical realm, they play at every dimension of your being, and they perform the exact same function for you in every other dimension of your being.
So that's a really, really good example of a snapshot of the chakra system and psychology. Say more about the root and the psychology and elimination, so we get a glimpse into the training.
Okay, so I think today's episode will just be about the root chakra then,
Okay.
so we don't overwhelm your
Don't say
listeners
too
too
much.
much.
We're no spoilers here. You got to trust me. Registering and paying for the training is so worth it. But we want to spark enough interest that people will look into the chakra system and its
Yeah.
effect on in your recovery. So yes.
So, like I said, most of the recovery issues are really based on the first three chakras. But the primary one that I find is the root chakra, a sense of belonging. And
Mm.
your root chakra has a direct balancing partner within you, which is the crown chakra. Even though they look like they're on the opposite spectrums, they are partners. So, to heal your root chakra, you usually need a spiritual awareness that gives you the sense of belonging
Mm.
and safety that no one in the earthly realm can give you. If that had not been provided for you during your childhood, if traumatic incidents happened, if abuse happened, um, neglect happened, abandonment happened, it is very hard to recreate those roots. But we seek those roots in everyone we meet, consciously or subconsciously. And maybe to some degree, the alcohol, the drugs provide us that temporarily. It grounds us for a moment. It tells us we belong. We even create a community of that around us, right?
Mm.
We belong
Yes.
in that community. In recovery, there's another community that forms where we
Mm.
do feel a sense of belonging. And that helps us grow our roots too. But nothing can create those until we connect back with the wholeness within us. And we turn to that wholeness as our parent that'll keep us safe,
Mhm.
that'll validate us, that'll nurture us.
Mhm.
And when that happens, in my opinion, and in my decade long experience with working with people, when I help them, when I work with them through this, when they do receive that frequency of the crown chakra, their sense of wholeness, it's an eye opening. It's like I didn't know that was me
It's
too.
all yes.
And there is an innocence that creeps back in, and less defensiveness happens, and they begin to heal from the inside out. So it's a that is, like I said, one of the key things that's missing in the Western psychology, because in the Western psychology, we are not allowed to talk about the soul, the spirit, the wholeness,
And
the
it's
universe.
also that you lost your innocence. No, you've
No
taught me
one, no
our
one
core
loses their
innocence
innocence.
is always there,
Always there.
always there.
Yes.
And so as we're learning breath work and grounding and getting, the kind of the somatic breath, body, it's providing, trauma response grounding, like actual grounding,
Yes.
and it's opening our crown that needs to happen through opening our heart and the human connection. And all of this can be happening at the same time: breath work, human connection, calming of the actual nervous system. What have you seen as the most, I know what the answer is, but well, yeah, what have you seen as the most profound way to begin balancing of the root chakra? Maybe I don't know the answer.
It depends on each person. And so when I work with people, I gauge how open they are. If they're open directly to meeting their beloved at the
That's
crown
all.
chakra, I'm happy to take them there. I arrange a meeting between them. They meet each other. There's a lot of tears usually. You saw that in classes. The tears, when those tears roll down, which are not sad tears. Those
No.
tears say, "Oh my God, I've been gone so long from my home. Like I forgot what it felt like. I forgot what it smelt like. I forgot I even had a home."
Hmm.
So some people are ready for that, and I make the meeting, and the healing is almost immediate. Like years and years of trauma can melt away and disappear in moments. It's
Yes.
truly magical to witness. Some people are not ready. It's way too much for them, like, or their mindset or belief system doesn't quite believe that yet. So I take them through different routes, right? So breath work is a way to help their psyche feel their body. Them simply feeling themselves within their body grows roots. It's healing the earth chakra. For
And
some, we
often
have to
is the
enter through
starting
the
point.
intellect. For some, we
Absolutely.
have to enter through the heart. So it just depends on where different people are. And that's why I wanted to create this as a certification, an in-depth certification, so I can teach people how to gauge that. How do you gauge what someone is available to?
Okay.
And based on that, we can use different tools and techniques.
I'm very much looking forward to this training and to hopefully carry along that space to others. And I am so grateful to you. I know we only talked about a tiny fraction of all that is to be received through studying, surrendering, reading the chakra system and psychology that overlap. And I don't know, I could talk to you for hours. I love you.
I love you
I
too.
love you very much.
I enjoyed
Thank
our
you for making
conversation.
it happen. Okay.
It's truly my
Oh,
honor.
and everybody, check out the link to Seventh Chakra Institute in this episode notes, and also check out the weekly breath work with me on Wednesdays, 4 p.m. Pacific time, free for parents in recovery. Love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye.
You are not alone. If you are dealing with shame and trauma, please reach out to me through my website, nadia-davis.com. You can get a free band shame tip sheet and find out about upcoming events. I'd love it if you picked up my book, Home is Within You, wherever books are sold. If you like this podcast, please tell a friend, leave a review, and make sure to follow me on Apple, Google, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Sending warm hugs.